Hello, hello, hello. There is a whole area around the purple tree covered with purple petals from the rhododendron tree. It is nice. It looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay. So making a video in the tree here. I'm gonna lean against the tree. Okay, my hair when I got up, my hair was standing straight up like this, to the side, like Pippi Longstocking, Pippi Langstrumpf, like this. Looked pretty bad. So I took a clip and I clipped it backwards and made it look a little bit cuter. I don't know. Looks a little bit like a chihuahua now. I don't know. But whatever. Grandma trying to look a little bit cuter. Okay, so, but anyway, it's nice. It's a nice day. It's nice weather. Wonderful. Absolutely love it. And I woke up in the middle of the night around, I don't know, 3 or 4 a.m. with a horrible, horrible nightmare. It was actually hard to wake up from that nightmare. It was almost like lucid dreaming where I thought I was actually there in that situation. And it was like such an enormous struggle. Like I was struggling with this onslaught of just an enormous mass of resistance. And that is representative to my daily life and facing humanity and struggling with people and all of this. Trying to make sense to people, trying to put sense into people. And when I meet fundamentalists or when I meet any kind of real rigid, real fundamentalist religious person, whatever religion they have, I feel this very thing, this enormous, enormous resistance from them. This act out that has snowballed into something so enormous and like a bulwark of, like an armor of egoic self-defense. Well, that's what the ego is. So they are so armored, they are so full of resistance and defense against truth and against happiness and against peace and love and freedom and playfulness. That's the number one thing. That's how you can detect it. When someone is in enormous resistance towards playfulness. And by playfulness, I don't mean sarcastic undertones. I don't mean any kind of negativity or like snickering or sadisticness. Or some people might call that, what do you mean I'm just playing? No, that's not what I mean. Okay? So playfulness is innocence. Playfulness is me playing here in the garden with the flowers. Innocence that gives love, that is supportive, that's nurturing, that's peaceful. Dorky, as they call it, there's their resistance. Their resistance is in that word. Dorky. You dork, they call someone like me. You dork. You're game spoiler. You're preventing us from being playful. No. I'm not doing anything. I'm just making innocent videos. Okay. But that's perceived from the ego as the antagonist. So the actual playful clown, play child, artist is perceived by the ego, by the other person that is acting out, who thinks he's playful, but who thinks he's playful, but what he really does is he's sadistic, he is sarcastic, he is hurtful towards others. Okay, so it's an ice cold laughter, an ice cold snicker. That's all we know. Okay? Someone who laughs at someone else's suffering. They perceive that as being playful. They petition for psychopaths in the world. We need to petition for the psychopaths so that they will not get arrested. We give them another chance and another chance and another chance, and we will continue to go on and give them another chance. And they will do one more offense and more offense and more offense and more offense, and the criminality and the violent offense act outs will increase every time they give them another chance. It will get worse. I'm trying to shed some light into this. Okay. I hopefully can. I need to rest my hand on something because my camera is kind of, maybe like this here. Camera is kind of heavy like this. So they will call me a game spoiler. They will call an activist a game spoiler, a party pooper, a dork, someone who doesn't know what fun is, right? No. Fun is not hurting another living being. Fun is not destroying your body with tattoos and alcohol and drugs. That's not fun. That's self-destruction, self-sabotage. It's not fun to have sex when you're drunk. I tried all of this in the past. I couldn't even enjoy it, my pain came up even more, and that's because they were all drinking away their pain and they were acting out, and there were expectations, and there wasn't a connection, a real connection. So when there's no real connection, that's what Teal Swan also said, the woman cannot enjoy it. This is a fact. And some women, they will pretend to, and they will play like they do, and they will pretend everything, and that's not joy, that's not fun, that's not being in the flow, that's not being in the now moment. To be in a pretense, to be in some kind of self-image preservation, some kind of, I need to preserve my standing in society, or my standing in the sleazy society, or this or that, or I am this or I am that, and I have to now fill that in and do my duty to the self-image. That's not fun. That's not being in the now. Being in the now is being 100% true to yourself. And it didn't come to me easily either, So it took over 50 years to come to this understanding that, hey, wait a minute, you don't have to struggle with anyone. You don't have to go on your knees and beg someone to like you. We do that in primatherapy. And that's where primatherapy has helped me hugely, absolutely hugely. Because they really made it clear to me that I don't need to beg a man. I don't need to play a role to please a man, or to fulfill my self-image that I have created about who I'm supposed to be for myself or for others. I'm supposed to be. No, I'm not supposed to be anything that society expects from me. There are men out there that think that the only way a woman is supposed to behave is by not reading books and by just by letting the man do the thinking. When the man doesn't do any thinking in the first place, that's not a good idea, right? So it's be better to do your own thinking. Yes, yeah, that is it. And it doesn't fit into that. It doesn't suddenly, it busts out of that template. What? A real woman is supposed to shut her mouth and, I don't even want to say it, you fill in the blanks. So, no, not in my life, okay? And why should I ever struggle with someone like this for acceptance or for understanding me? Or no, I'm not going to. I make these videos. If people want to watch them, they can watch them. If they don't want to watch them, they don't watch them. There's no more struggle necessary for it, okay? And I make them mainly for myself, the videos. My husband doesn't want me to make videos. He doesn't feel comfortable about it at all. He doesn't even want his shoe to be shown in the video. And he thinks this is awful. So no more struggling, no more struggling with fundamentalists to make them see that I care. See, I'm caring, I'm a good person. Don't call me devil, I'm a good person. This struggle. In a chat room, I will just state the facts. Beyond that, I'm leaving them alone. It's up to them what they want to believe about me. If what I am and what I stand for doesn't fit into their image that they have about people and society, that's their business, that's their problem, not mine, okay? If they want to think that I am a dyke, I'm a lesbian. Yes, you must be a lesbian if you are political, or let them think that. Well, I'm not a lesbian, okay? And I like lesbians. I think they're awesome people. They're because they don't have this. They don't fall into this trap of now I need to fulfill the role that the Muslim men gave me, or the fundamentalist Christian, or whoever, or the macho cowboy, He said the woman better go into the kitchen, and then these women, and they get literally sick. They get physically sick from fulfilling those neurotic needs of men. I see it on the internet, so that's not a good thing. And if I then meet them, once they're in the hospital, already on life support, and I say, hey, even in the last stage of, I don't want to say it, but you can turn it around. I've talked to these people. There is just no freaking way they would ever listen to me. Because if they listened to me, they would have to question their entire freaking life. And their act out, and all of that. They would have to turn it all upside down and set it on its head. And really inspect it forward, and they don't want to do that. The ego is so resistant. The ego is so resistant that it will even kill its host. That's how resistant the ego is. And that's why I say, become aware and become attuned to your own body and your own needs. If you are a lesbian, then be a lesbian. and live that, and love, and be attracted to who you are attracted to, and live that life, that freedom, okay? And if you are straight like myself, and if you are girly and playful, then be that, okay? Be that, but don't serve anyone, don't serve a man. Don't mix that up now with, no, I need to be the girly asshole server or something. No, 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 no. Become very aware. And don't be afraid to stand up, and don't be afraid that you might look like a dyke or like a lesbian to the cowboy asshole or to the Muslim macho psychopath. Don't be afraid. Be it. Be you. Be the strong you and the playful you. Be that. That's what I want to encourage people to be. So, and the nightmare that I had is, it could not be more starkly symptomatic, and it could not be a more aggressive example of that what I want to warn the world about. So here's the nightmare. Little girl, like 10 years old, pre-puberty. This is also interesting to a blonde, blue-eyed Swedish type of, the Swedish people, they have what they have in their DNA. That's why they call it Stockholm Syndrome. They have in their DNA to be very passive and very willing to accept anything in society. So not all, of course. But I see there is a tendency in these people. They're very passive. They're also, they tend to be socially very, very shy, and they take a back seat. And then they have also a lot of mellowness because of that, and kindness and gentleness because of this. But the flip side is the Stockholm tendency to take a back seat and let the other guy live out his plan when you don't have a plan, okay? And that's not a good idea, okay? That's being submissive. It's not a good idea. Submissiveness does not make the world a better place at all. Okay? We have to, each person has to be an individual motor, an individually thinking wheel, okay, to move things forward. Otherwise we get wheeled by other motors in the wrong direction. I hope that makes a lot of sense. So I don't want the Muslim agenda to take over the world. I hope that makes sense to you, So, but people, they tend to latch on to whatever kind of society impetus or tone, the good tone. One doesn't say this anymore today, I hear my parents. So question that. Question this. Why? Why does one, and who is one? Society and the Stockholmers who hold the other chief. So, but anyway, think for yourself. So, this is so symptomatic, that dream. A Swedish looking, very pretty 10-year-old girl, very tender, but has already been unbelievably abused psychologically by her parents, with their parents not being there for them, not loving her, not showing her enough attention, not showing her appreciation, completely ignoring her, being rich, being busy with other things. That's not rich though, but people who are successful in business, very business oriented, very, like, not so much business but like social oriented, like they want recognition. They're busy, they have all their entire mindset on that instead of their children. So, and that's why we see anorexic girls. I talked about this in my video from the other day. So we're at the other house now, of course, so we're coming back tomorrow to upload this. So this is very interesting that my brain used this symbol of the blonde, blue-eyed. That's why in Germany they actually have a saying. They say when someone is naive, they call someone blue-eyed. Das ist aber blauäugig von dir. That's what they say, blue. But that is pretty blue-eyed of you to act like this. You know? So that's a German saying. So the blue-eyed person has already been noticed as being a little bit taking the back seat and letting other people do things, and that in return has been regarded as naive, and it should be regarded as naive, but it's a generalization, of course, to say that about blue-eyed people. Oh, not every blue-eyed person is naive, of course, but I see a general tendency that goes in that direction. So, and I see a whole lot more tendencies, but we're not allowed to talk about those. Yeah, no scientist is even allowed to talk about those. Oh, you can dump it on the blue-eyed person. That you can do all day long. But wait, the others are not allowed to be talked about. But you know, I leave that up to Sam Vaknin. Watch Sam Vaknin's videos. He talks about the nations that he came from and that have abused him when he was a child, and he is part of those people. He's part of that DNA as well, and he talks about this openly. And even though he's an asshole, I do appreciate him coming out to the public with this and talking about it and not holding back and not being euphemistic about his own heritage. Okay? I find that very, very courageous. And so I let the people that come from their own groups speak out against their own groups. It's not for me to do this. So, but what I want to point out is, become aware, become aware, and even those people that are acting out as assholes, become aware. Question it every second of your life. And go into meditation, and then things will start to heal. Okay? That is probably not going to change your eye color, and you don't need to change your eye color because brown eyes are pretty too, just equally much. And brown skin is equally pretty. Okay? So I don't want to be misunderstood here at all. Just want to put things into factual context. I just want people to look at the facts, to not be in denial about stuff. Don't be in denial. So, and probably Swedish people that get mad at me for this video because they identify with that, and they go, no, there's nothing wrong. You can never say anything against Swedish people. Well, I'm not even saying anything against them. What I'm saying is there are tendencies, and there's a reason why we have these kind of things like blue-eyed, naive, and Stockholm syndrome, and so on. There's a reason why that exists. That doesn't exist because people are just trying to be assholes and be prejudiced. Okay. There's a reason for this, and if you ask children, okay, they will always say the truth about people. They will not hold back with their observations. Once they get 13, they will twist it around and say whatever society wants them to say. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it on the internet. I've seen this in documentary films that were actually, the documentary films were actually biased reports, but I saw it in those reports as well because I don't look at it from their biased lens. I look at it from what it actually is. And I recommend to people to do the same thing. Okay, so you see a certain trend and you see a certain tendency of a certain person, and you see there may be genetics involved in this and all of that, you know. But again, we have something called epigenetics. There is a way to heal even the DNA. Believe it or not, sounds weird, but you can even heal the DNA. And meditation is the main tool for that. It's a long process, but but every increment of healing is worth it. Trust me on that one. Trust me. Taking drugs, covering it up with whatever, addictions and religions, is not gonna move that person forward the slightest bit, okay? So this is a fact. So in my dream, the little girl, 10-year-old, blue-eyed, blonde little girl, never been seen by the parents, you know. Now she hangs out in chat rooms, she hangs out on YouTube, she makes videos. There are so many of these little girls that make videos that see older girls and they want to be like them. They see the movie stars, they see the singers, Ariana Grande, they want to be like them. They want to buy their perfume, they want to become them, you know. So that is what fandom is. So that is when people feel like they themselves, they feel like they amount to nothing, or they feel invisible, or they feel insignificant, or they feel like, you know, without putting the mask of the singer on, or their perfume, or whatever. I'm not saying to buy their perfume is wrong, that's not what I'm saying. It's just a general observation that I make here, you know. Like, to be a fan of someone is ignoring oneself. You're ignoring your own treasures that you have to offer to the world. You're caving in to a person. You're putting a person on a pedestal. You're caving into that person. You're ignoring your own treasures, and you are Stockholmishly latching onto that person and let that other person run your life, basically. If the singer says, drink blue water, you will drink the blue water. If the singer says, drink the orange water, you'll drink the orange water, or the Kool-Aid, or whatever they want you to buy, Pepsi or Coca-Cola, or, you know. That's why the corporations want all of this. They want this fandom and the self ignoring of the ignoring of their own. They don't want people to become aware of their own treasures and creativity and playfulness and all of this. They do the opposite. They steer people in the opposite direction that I want to do. I want you to become aware of your inner treasures, of your beauty, the beauty that you are. So I find all people beautiful, all skin colors. You're all equally beautiful. It's the truth. It's the truth. You're all equally feminine, the girls. You're all equally masculine, the men. You all have something amazing to offer to the world. But you don't believe it because you see one person being celebrated, or a few people being celebrated, and you want to, and you make that your avatar. You forget about yourself. It's not good. You forget about your own treasures. You put yourself on the back bench, and all kinds of neurotic things arise out of this. You know, this all kinds of like entitlement and whining and feeling unappreciated, and people just do it to themselves. Basically, they do it to themselves. if you meditate, you come to yourself. You find yourself, and you see you're beautiful too, equally much, and equally sexy and desirable, and all of this. You're beautiful, and inside and out, and you're precious, infinitely precious living beings, all of you. The horses, the dogs, the humans, all of them, all of us. But you go by what society tells you, particularly like the corporate agenda, how they rub things in for their own advantage, financial advantage. And people will believe it, and they will listen to talk radio, or they listen to hate propaganda, and they get swept up in the wrong direction. So listening to hate propaganda just makes someone feel even more insignificant in all of this. It's the opposite direction. So this little girl in my dream, it's sort of like the amalgamation of everything that I see on the internet, of this particular phenomenon that I'm talking about. This it's sort of like the prototype of that what I observe, and that what I want to warn people about, So I want to warn people about this particular behavior where people they want to become someone else. They see someone they look up to, or someone they like. Someone puts a nose ring, and then they want to do the same thing. They want to pierce their own flesh. Self-destruction, or tattoos, or smoking, or whatever they do to imitate those people that they think are cool and are desirable and are great. So that's a pity. It's a horrific pity what I see. So, and then there are people that want to become seen and famous and loved and adored. Papa dog, there's the Papa dog. And they will do this on cost of their own bodies. They will do it in form of nose rings, tattoos, drugs, doing sex services for someone even though their body doesn't want to do it. They don't feel safe with that person. They don't feel comfortable. Teal Swan talks about it. Her videos are amazing. She says women are afraid. Women have so much fear, and they feel so afraid of being abused, and of pain, physical pain, and all of this. So how can they relax? They can't. They can only relax and feel comfortable with a man if they feel like they can 100% trust that man. That man is never going to demand anything from her. The man is always going to respect her needs and wants and whatever, and that doesn't mean he has to take abuse from her, but what I mean is not abuse her, not take advantage of her, but really love her. It seems to be very difficult in this world. So I don't know how we move forward, like move one corner forward here, like a maggot, and then you drag the other one behind, and then you move it again, and then move. That's how we gradually move ourselves forward. So I explain this, which is also caught up with that, and this cannot be done because of that, but we have to move one thing forward at the time, okay? And then slowly things will start to move in the right direction. I hope, I really hope that. And I try to explain these things with the best examples that I can. Even my dreams try to bring this up in the best possible scenarios that I can. So this little girl in my dream, the reason why this became a nightmare, where I had to force myself to wake up from it because it felt so awful. I felt like screaming, but I didn't wake up screaming this time. I was almost suffocated in my own overwhelmed feeling, in my overload of struggle with that girl. Like, I wanted that girl to, the girl didn't even see me, sort of. Like, she only saw, couldn't see me. She only saw some kind of imperative come at her. She didn't even really see that it was all energetic. I was sort of invisible, like a ghost, and trying to come at her, like with bilocation, so where I meditate, and my mind goes into my spirit wanders off and tries to, like in the fairy tale Kabat, and I go to the girl and I try to talk to her, but she doesn't see me, but she can only see some kind of energy, and the energy that she felt was me coming up with an imperative. That's like a big sister coming up and saying, baby, don't make that mistake. It's an imperative. And little girls, they don't want imperatives, they want fun all the time, and an imperative is always like categorical, forefinger imperative. So don't do that. And that's that energy that she saw in me. And I just wanted to warn her, the dog mother that I am. I wanted to say, don't do this to yourself. Don't hurt yourself. So, and it was overwhelming, because the more I tried to protect her from herself, the more she hurt herself, the more she wanted to be seen. The more imperative came at her, the more insignificant she actually felt, and the more insignificant she felt, the more unseen she felt, the more undesirable she felt. And this is significant here, pre-puberty, 10 years of age. I mean, it just starts. It just barely starts, but it hasn't. They haven't had the period yet. It hasn't been developed. So it's like, I don't know. It varies among the girls. Some are already more developed, and some are less developed. So the meat-eating girls they develop all of this quicker because of the growth hormones in meat, and that's extremely toxic and unhealthy, and it causes the C word. It's carcinogenic, and I don't want to get into this now, but the average age of getting into puberty is 13. That's when I got into puberty. So my breast started growing at age 11, and I think at 10 I didn't have. It was just barely starting. So, and I think that is about what's happening. Maybe today the breasts are starting to grow in general a little bit sooner than that. I don't know, because of the meat consumption. But yeah, like 10 or 9, that kind of age. 10 or 9, or maybe 8. So I don't know. Maybe the girl was actually 8, because it's hard to estimate this. But that girl was definitely completely pre-puberty. So there wasn't even the hormones that started to mix in with the self-image yet. So, but she felt unseen, and she wanted to be seen. She wanted to be seen. So just that, it's without pre-sexuality. So without all of this. So that's why I think it's very, very significant to point that out, to eliminate this muddying variable that comes in later on. Then it becomes difficult to figure out which one is which. But again, my dream is just an amalgamation. It's a symbol for what I'm talking about, but an interesting symbol. So yes, the girl, like I would say maybe 8, you know. And I've seen these girls also on the internet, you know, girls that they see other older girls and they want to be like them, and they see a certain trend and they want to imitate that. They don't go by themselves. They don't think that they have something to offer on their own, you know, something unique, something, you know, like painting something that's completely unique. They're too afraid that could be criticized, or that someone could find fault with. You can't find fault with artwork. Art is art. That stands by itself. There's no right or wrong, you know. So, but they think it's right, and they think it's you can judge this by right or wrong. You can find fault with it. That's what they think. That's what they have been told their entire life. They have never been. They have never had someone to say to them, "You are unique. You are precious. You are infinitely precious, and I love you unconditionally, and I hold you in my arm, and I protect you." You know, this thing that every living being should receive. Every dog, every horse, giraffe, human, pig, cow, frog, every being should receive this love and protection. That's a vibration. It's an energy field that is the most powerful and potent and life-giving energy field there is. And I want to give that to you. I want to give this to you in every one of my videos. So this 8-year-old girl, not seen, the parents never there, always busy with something else, and maybe she was even abused. There's no telling. I mean, like in the world, that's what's happening, you know. So, and she sees these other people, they have friends, she wants that too, she wants to belong, they want to belong so bad, you know, to all these friend circles, and wherever they think, whatever people think is fun, and that they think that they're supposed to do ta-ta-ta, and they don't question us, and they just want to belong. Okay. So this little girl, like out of despair, in order to be seen, she pierces her body with needles, and then she gets a few more views. So then she gets encouraged by society for the wrong things, okay? And then the views drop again because there are so many that are crazy on the internet that are doing things, and no one cares about anyone. No one goes, "Oh, there's a little girl, she's putting a nose ring. This is self-abuse. Why don't we get help for her?" No, people think this is normal behavior. They don't even see that this is self-abuse, and this is an alarm flag. Or when a girl starves herself, people don't even see this anymore as an alarm. They think this is normal. They think, "Oh, it's just teenage behavior." No, this is not how a teenager should behave. This is self-abuse. Girls are dying because of this, okay? It's like a red flag, and no one sees it. Why am I the only one who sees this? You know, am I the only grandmother out there who feels compassion for these teenage girls? I don't know. Are the grandmothers out there, are they all drunk on booze or something? Or busy with their own shit? With their own dysfunctional crap? I don't know what's going on, you know. And the men only interested in fapping off to whoever. They don't see anything. That's just self pleasuring. That's all it is. Like, it's like a drug. It's just self pleasuring. It's me, you know. They don't see the other. It's infuriating, okay? And out of this comes such tremendous pain in the world. It's unbelievable. So this 8-year-old little girl, she started to puncture herself in the arm. Then she ended up sewing her arms together like this here. I don't know, it's hard to show. Sewing the arms together with some kind of packaging string and a huge needle, just sticking it into her skin and sewing her arms together. And it got worse and worse and worse. She used more thicker and thicker, like pen-size needles and puncture things that she would stick into her arms and into her legs and sew herself together. Ended up sewing her face, her eyes closed, face, everything. And then she would barely look out of this, and then she would tear her arms like this, where these puncture wounds would widen because of the strings in it, and then blood would come out. So that's enough. I'm not gonna say any more now, but that's my nightmare. That's the kind of shit that I wake up with. Okay. And that's the kind of horror that I deal with, and that I see, that I have lived with my whole life. And that's the reality of my existence. These kind of nightmares, and not just nightmares, night terror, horror thoughts, intrusive horror thoughts, horror movies that just play themselves out in my head, horror movies that don't even exist. And that's why I could make a horror movie out of this. It would put people into a psychiatric unit.